Well, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this presentation today. And we are just waiting for a couple of people to join, which is super exciting. I'm just going to share my screen and then we will get started. So, what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about the 7 alarming clues. Who's next to quiet quit, or basically who's next to leave your team. And what I'm hoping to get through today is a few statistics that are developed by the State of the Global Workplace report that's done by Gallup. Now, Gallup is a global consulting firm, and they are fantastic at really researching and providing reports and details behind what's happening around the world. And you can download the report from their website. It's over 100 pages long, so if you have the time to read that, then definitely go through the opportunity. But ultimately, I'm going to be running through the 7 main areas that they covered within the report, and also what you can do about it as well. So, who am I? Well, I'm the founder and CEO of Teema. Teema is my startup company, and we are focused around really bringing to the world the tools and the engagement that predicts the future success of teams. And we'll talk a bit more about what Teema does later on. But I have over 10 years experience in personality intelligence and worked with over 5,000 clients in mentoring them with their teams as well. My main experience is in sales and looking at sales opportunities, and have generated over $30 million in the last 8 years in revenue and sales for some of my clients as well. I've run 3 companies, I've sold 2 of them, and I've taken another company public on the New York Stock Exchange, and that doesn't include Teema, which started this specific year. So let's jump in to what Teema is all about, and then we'll get into the 7 different categories or 7 different clues. So Teema, you can go and see us on the on our website over here. You can see what we do, go through our experiences. You can read about what we're trying to create with Teema as well. And that's really what it is about bringing to the world the tools and the systems to consistently engage and predict the future success of teams. And that's really all the tools that we are building, over 29 different modules that we want to launch within the market as well. But that's not the point of the webinar. The webinar is all about the 7 alarming clues. So what are they? What are the different topics that we're going to be covering with today? And here we are. The percentage of employees thriving at work is the first one that we will cover today. The second one is the majority of the world's employees that are quiet quitting. We'll talk about that. And even after the pandemic, employee stress has remained at a record high level. We'll talk about that in number 3. And number 4, the world experienced a widespread resurgence in jobs. Number 5 is globally over half of employees shared some intent to leave their jobs, which is super high as well. And then number 6, engagement has a 3.8 times as much stress as is work location. Number 7, the final point you will cover today is quiet quitting. Like, employees know what they would change about their workplace. These are the main different topic areas, and what we'll create, and the outcome of this is that you'll go to our website, you'll download our leadership scorecard, and you'll be able to score yourself in all the different areas on how you're currently doing within your teams. So let's jump into the first one. The first one is all about the percentage of employees that are thriving at work, and this reached a record high in 2022. Now, let's think about that for a moment. It reached a record high in 2022, and that's only 23%. So 23% of the world's workforce is thriving at work. That was based on last year's statistic. It is absolutely crazy. But although engagement declined in 2020, it has returned to its historically positive trend, on an upward trend. But much of this gain was due to a 7 percentage point rebound in engagement in South Asia, which includes India. And this is estimated to become the world's largest country by population this year. That's India. So South Asia now leads the world with employee engagement at 33%, which is way higher than the global average by 33%. But interestingly, it's still only 33%. That's the leading one, and 23% is the global. So questions to ask yourself about this category, and really is, what I've done is I've designed this in a way that you can ask yourself whether you actually focus on these areas, because if you aren't, then it is going to affect you. That's the result. So what are you asking yourself with this one, which is, am I actively looking to implement strategies that create opportunities for employees to thrive at work? And number 2 is, do I routinely check on the job satisfaction of my employees? And some solutions that you can do immediately is really look at growth opportunities, You can look at education and progressive courses for your teams. You can look at the support structure or how people gather support basically within their teams, and also look at reward and recognition for performance and outcomes. So these different solutions are things that you can implement yourself. You can Google a way to do that, or we can help you to do that as well. So jumping in the second point, which is the majority of the world's employees are quiet quitting. Increasing engagement is good news for employees that are thriving at work, basically, but finding their daily work more rewarding is really not the case. But there's also a long way to go. Most workers are quiet quitting. These people are not engaged, and loud quitting, which are people that are actively disengaged. So what does it mean? So thriving at work, so these employees are finding their work meaningful, and they are feeling connected to their team and their organization. They feel proud of the work that they do, and they take ownership of their performance, but also they go the extra mile for their teammates and their customers. So quiet quitting, so these employees are filling a seat with and basically just watching the clock. They put in the minimum amount of effort required, and they are psychologically disconnected from their employer. Although they are minimally productive, they are more likely to be stressed and burnt out than engaged workers because they feel lost and disconnected from their current workplace. And what about the third one? So loud quitting. So these employees take actions that directly harm the organization. So they undercut, your organization's goals, and they're opposing its leaders. And at some points along the way, the trust between the employee and the employer was severely broken, or the employee has become woefully mismatched to their role, which is causing these constant crises. And this low engagement is really causing the global economy $8.8 trillion a year. That's almost 9% of global GDP. And we'll talk more about these three different categories a bit later as well. So questions to ask yourself in this, which is about quiet quitting, which is, am I engaging with my team regularly to understand their needs? And am I considering the financial impact of low employee engagement in my strategic planning? And what you can do about this, you can listen more to team issues, you can create more safe spaces to be open, you can create career pathing that drives personal growth, and you can also identify available skills to utilize cross-functionally. And this is really, really important in thinking about the people that are leaving within your company. What is the third point that we want to cover, which is, although the world has recovered from the worst of the pandemic, employee stress has remained at a record high level. So 44% of employees said that they experienced a lot of stress in the previous day. This repeats the record, basically the record high in 2021, and continues the trend of elevated stress that began almost a decade earlier. The survey does not include super specifics about why that is the case, but work itself can be a source of stress and low engagement, but it's also related to higher stress. But then external factors like inflation or family health, or issues in this case, can also be sources of daily stress too. But although leaders and managers cannot change external sources of stress, they can make a difference in the overall stress in workers' lives. And this analysis finds that when employees are engaged at work, they report significantly lower stress in their personal lives as well. And what you can do about this? Well, the questions you should be asking yourself are, am I engaging with my team regularly to understand their needs? Do I encourage my team to utilize available wellness resources to manage stress? And what you could do is also look at well-being opportunities that are available in the market. You could look at how you engage with the team, collectively to gather intel, how you develop openness to support personal issues. These are things you can consider as well to really focus on this stress level within teams. What about the fourth one? So the fourth one is, in 2022, the world experienced a widespread resurgence in jobs. So 53% of employees in 2022 said that now is a good time to find a job where they live. But this is also a sharp increase on the previous year and close to a record high in 2019, as you can see here. But every region in the world saw a rise in the number of workers who said it was a good time to find a job. In Southeast Asia and Australia and New Zealand saw 22% point gains for this item, with most other regions seeing double-digit gains. But the exception was the United States and Canada, which saw no increase in this item in 2022, but saw this climb 44 percentage points in the previous year. So it really went super high in that year coming out of the pandemic, obviously with the availability of jobs. But the increase in available jobs is a positive change for workers, but it means that deeply unhappy workers are able to leave bad workplaces and even good workplaces, and more workers are able to find the work that they actually like to do. So it's creating this opportunity around the world with the availability of jobs, and that's the resurgence. So questions to ask yourself in competing with this, which is, am I keeping myself updated with the changes in the employment job market? And am I making efforts to capitalize on job resurgence opportunities to benefit my team and organizations? That's the recruitment side as well. So am I creating jobs in the market? So researching competitors, looking at how you compare in terms of salaries, and also include benefits that really suit employees, is definitely something that you can consider to keep employees and retain talent within your teams. So what about the fifth item on the list, which is all about being over half of employees globally express some level of intent to leave their jobs. When people see more job opportunities around them, they are likely to see another job as a possibility. So more competition for jobs leads to more enticing job offers and active recruitment as well. But this data consistently shows that engaging employees can create a moat of protection around them. A recent Gallup analysis found that engaged employees require a 31% pay increase to consider a job in a different organization, but not engaged employees or actively disengaged employees only want to 22%. So they're more likely to leave for lower pay and lower benefits, which could work in your favor to get rid of the wrong people. But also at the same time, it really is a challenge, because if someone leaves, you have to replace them, and that's a high cost as well. So what questions could you ask yourself within this specific category? The first one being, am I proactively creating opportunities within the team to retain talent? And the second one being, am I keeping aware of the evolving job market to strategize and keep my team motivated? Some quick solutions could be to really look at how you can pay people more, maybe in your salary, look at career pathing and growth. And this also give you an example. If you compare salaries in the market, it'll give you an example of who is really disengaged within your team and who is engaged as well. Now, this is a very important one, which is, looking at engagement. And engagement has a 3.8 times as much influence on employee stress as location does. So we talk about location in the specific one. And then this graphic over here, the percentage is the amount of stress, people that, the amount of people that experience stress. And the three different parts across are actively disengaged, not engaged, and engaged people. And interestingly, we think about hybrid work being something that is, what everybody wants to do. But that, if you look at the statistics, that creates the most amount of stress in terms of how people are working. On-site still leads with the least amount of stress across the board specifically. I guess for actively disengaged people being on-site or fully remote, they still have a high level of stress anyway, because their value system is obviously challenged at the same time. But much has been made about the pros and cons of, remote, hybrid, or fully on-site work. But some employees finding, for example, find working from home more conductive, or more conductive, more productive, more conducive to focused work, while others find the focus better in the office when they're surrounded by different people. So that's basically, are you data-driven personality type, or are you people-driven personality type? I mean, the office does remain a gathering place for social bonding and culture building and development within organizations, but the flexibility of remote work allows for greater autonomy and well-being, which today's workers really highly prize. But with all that said, this analysis finds that engagement 3.8 times as much influence on employee stress as work location. In other words, what people experience in their everyday work is really important. So their feelings of involvement and enthusiasm, this matters more in reducing stress than where they are actually sitting. So you can have them in any of the categories, and if you focus on that, you'll have a better result. But leaders really need to ask if poor remote work performance or poor hybrid work performance is more of a location problem or a management problem. But definitely no location can fix poor management, and the office alone has no magic to create great organizational culture either. And what you can do about this, well, ask yourself these questions, which is, am I prioritizing employee engagement over their work location to ensure reduced stress and increased productivity? Or am I progressive with my leadership style to accommodate remote working or hybrid working arrangements? And things you can do is really look at what policy works for your business as well. Thinking about the type of work you do, thinking about the type of personality types you have within your teams. Maybe it's not conducive to all teams. For example, a marketing team or a sales team compared to an accounts team, how do they operate? Will a marketing team and sales team have more energy at home, or will they have more energy in the office? And an accounts team, will they have more energy at home, or will they have more energy in the office? So think about that, because that can really affect the strategy that that works within your teams. What is clear is that a one-size-fits-all approach does not actually work as well. So on the last point here that we want to cover today, which is about quiet quitting, and quiet quitting employees, it basically talks about quiet quitting employees knowing what they would change about their workplace that they worked within. So in this report, they asked the respondents, what would you change about your workplace to make it better? And 85% of the responses offered by these considered quiet quitting people, which really comprises a majority of employees. But this was definitely related to engagement or employee engagement or culture, pay and benefits, or well-being. Well-being can also be, referred to as, work-life balance, for example. But ultimately, if you think about this, the people that quiet quit, 41% of those people said they left because of the engagement or culture. Of the people that quiet quit, 28% said that they left because of pay and benefits. And 16% said that they left because of the well-being or work-life balance. So it's very clear that engagement is a vital tool now, or a vital focus that should be coming out within companies, because that is going to be the biggest influence on retaining really powerful employees. And questions to ask yourself, which is, am I open to feedback from my team and ready to make changes based on the input? And am I taking active steps to ensure our culture within the team engagement, and engagement strategies are effective and satisfying to employees? So what does this mean in terms of you as a quick solution? Well, really look at your offboarding that builds ambassadors. So how do you have people leave your company that love your company and share everything that you do? But also look at creating a non-biased approach to collecting data and analyzing it. So when it's done by people, there is always going to be bias involved. But when you use AI, there may be some bias because it's based on learning, but we know that when it's people-based, there's always going to be bias involved. So have a look at how you could do that and find out that data to really improve as you go forward. So what do we find this in terms of the conclusion between the 7 different areas you spoke today? I mean, number one, so in today's typical organization, most employees are neither engaged nor actively disengaged, but they are filling a seat and they're yet to take ownership of their work. But by not engaging with these employees, leaders are missing a primary driver of customer retention and organic business growth. Number two, which is about the employee engagement. And employee engagement does not mean happiness. If you're only measuring employee contentment, you're missing engagement. And the reality is that many corporate measures of engagement are really just measuring contentment. So true engagement means that your people are psychologically present to do their work. They understand what they do. They understand what to do. They have what they need. They have a supportive manager and a supportive team. And they know why their work matters. They are work ready. And number three, quiet quitting employees are your organization's lowest hanging fruit for productivity gains. They are ready to be inspired and motivated. They are, if they are coached in the right way, for example. But at Teamer, we have worked with organizations all over the world to increase the number of employees thriving at work. The global average is basically 1-to-1, one engaged employee for every one actively disengaged employee. However, for this year's Gallup Exceptional Workplace Award winners, that ratio is 18-to-1. That's basically doing 18 times better than the world average. Large or small, these workplaces really, really feel different, and that was found across the board. So at Teamer, with our focus on personality intelligence and linking that back to, the National Career Development Association, they say that people are happiest and perform best when their natural abilities are used to fullest. So what does this mean, and why is that linked? Because employee engagement has been construed as, this well-being or culture or, benefits and things like that. But really what we believe is that it should be based on people's natural abilities to do the work that they're naturally good at. And that's what we're doing at Teamer. So we covered in 4 different areas as a business. Our personality intelligence, so we do the testing and we help implementation. Empathy intelligence, we do the testing, it's anonymous, and we help with the implementation on the results and repairing those results too. Engagement, looking at different ways to get people to do the work that they enjoy, and then coaching leaders to become better leaders. And these 4 different areas are vital in the way that we want to support the market and grow. So what does this mean in terms of actions to take after this conversation today? So visit our website, download the leadership scorecard, answer the easy questions, and you really just get a snapshot of where you're at in your business and with your employee engagement, and really just know where there may be some areas of concern. And then book a discovery call with one of our team and have a conversation about your results. So what does that look like? So go to our website, it's teamerresources.app. At the bottom of the page, you'll find this here. Start working towards the leader you were born to become. You can download the leadership scorecard here. This is what it looks like. So you go through, there's 7 different sections, there's 14 questions, and you rate yourself out of 70. And I'll give an example. These are the questions that I asked on the conversation today. So you don't have to write them down, but you can go here and score yourself immediately and see how you're actually doing as a leader. Get your results and then have a look at what your next step should be, and then book a conversation with one of our team. And you can also do that on our main website, right at the top here, book a discovery call, and we'll be there to help you along the way as well. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you had a great conversation. I hope you had some great tips out of today. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Would love to hear what you think and what your outcome is, and if you have the biggest takeaway. Thank you so much and have a great day.